Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me and happy Monday, happy Ghost Day. So today I have some new ghost stories for you, ghost TikToks. We know what to expect. And an actual way I died today. If you want to send me your ghost stories, you can send them right here to this email address. You can send them audio. Normal email, a video if you want to video yourself. You can send along pictures with them, whatever you feel like doing. We are a little bit far behind in a good way because that means we have lots of content coming. So thank you for keeping sending those in. That doesn't make sense. So thank you for sending those in and keep them coming. It's what we want. A lot of people say, I've been thinking of sending you my ghost story. Do it. If you're comfortable doing so, just jump in and do it. So today's way of dying, I'm extremely grateful to someone on Twitter whose name I can't look up because my phone is my auto cue. Sent me an Amazon series called 1,000 Ways to Die or something like that. And I haven't watched it yet, but somebody commented underneath and I was like, oh yeah, this is good. Somebody, and this is the way we're going to die. They died because they worked in was it a chocolate factory? They weren't it wasn't like Charlie and Chocolate, or cocoa factory, something like that. And this is probably totally wrong. I'm doing it from my memory. They inhaled loads of cocoa powder from laughing too much. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go for chocolatey brown. I have a Patrick Tar palette right here, not the new one, because us in the UK, we don't get them very quickly. So we have the original one here and then some other bits. And I'm going to put this bright yellow from Danessa Merrick's on it, this neon-y yellow. Okay, but the makeup isn't the important part. The stories are. So let's get down to business. Our first story today is called Witchcraft Gone Wrong. It says, hi Robert, I'm loving this series so much I thought I'll share my experience. Not exactly scary, just weird. About 2 years ago, I had really started to gain an interest in manifestation and witchcraft. I was really excited to start practicing and went to my local metaphysical store and bought a bunch of candles, herbs, crystals, etc. The very first day I practiced, I dreamt of my grandfather telling me he couldn't breathe. Just a little backstory. I dream very vividly just about every night, and I would always wish to dream of my grandfather before bed. He passed away in 2012 and was basically my second father. Despite always thinking of him before sleeping, I had never dreamt of him after this happened. I didn't think too much of it, and I was just happy to have dreamt of him. The next day, I practiced again and went to bed no problem. This was when things took a turn. I was sound asleep and was suddenly awoken to the sound of glass crashing loudly to my left. The only thing that was to my left was the altar I had set up to do my craft. I instantly knew something was wrong. I didn't dare turn to see what caused the loud sound. I couldn't tell what time it was because it was still so dark. I quickly glanced at my phone and saw it was a little after 3 a.m. Once I saw the time, I got even more scared and kept my eyes shut, not daring to open them. I forced myself to go back to bed, and when I woke up later that day, I looked at my altar and all of my candles and trinkets had fallen face down in the same exact position. I had 3 little mirrors hanging above my bed for decoration. The mirror on my left had fallen off the wall and onto the altar. They had never fallen off my wall and were very secure with hooks. The candles and a few other items had landed so strangely that I was shaken up and never practiced again. I put everything away that same day. They say mirrors are doors to the other side. In my head, I think my grandpa did this, trying to protect me from opening myself up to bad energies. I haven't dreamt of my grandfather since. I did, however, get the promotion I was manifesting. Wait a minute, no, that's not cute. Is it cute? I don't know, was that cute or was that really scary? That was scary, but also it had a happy ending, so I don't know where my feelings are. But it's always good to know somebody is looking out for you on the other side, isn't it? Not that I would know that feeling. Well, I don't know, maybe someone is. Okay, so the story up next is called Haunted English Shop. I do have a note here saying that this is a longer audio, but a very good one. So let's get going. Give me some time to finish this up.
Hi, Robert. It's a bit of a long one, so I'm just going to crack on with it straight away. Okay, just a bit of backstory before I get to the ghost story. Okay, I live in a world-famous village in England where a very famous TV show was filmed for many years. This TV show is no longer running, however, it's still a very popular place for tourists to visit. Back in the 1800s, there was this grocer's shop, and it was one of the only places in the village you could get your food shopping. It was open for many, many years until very suddenly the two gentlemen owners who were in partnership went their separate ways. I believe my ghost story is connected to this reason. Anyway, in the late 70s, my parents bought this abandoned building and renewed it to its former glory under the same name as the previous owners from the 1800s. So it was a grocer's shop again. We moved in and lived above it with my older brother and sister. Well, I didn't live there yet because I wasn't born until the 80s, but it was really successful and it had a really, really beautiful atmosphere. All the original features were there. They extended to have a cafe and a restaurant in the cellar, which was really creepy. But anyway, in the 80s I was born and I've got many happy memories living there. Very fond memories. My parents were constantly updating the building and having renovations done to help. My parents were constantly updating the building and having renovations done with the help of family and friends, including making a big storage room upstairs right next to where my bedroom was. As time went on, my older siblings grew up and moved out to go to uni, etc. But they'd still come home to visit me sometimes because I was so much younger and I really missed them. Unfortunately, after a few more years, my mum and dad separated and it was just me and my mum left living in the shop. And I really loved living there, helping out in the cafe even at just 12 years old. I literally grew up in that building from being a baby, so I was devastated when my mum told me we had to give up the shop and move out. So, there's the backstory. So let's jump about 20 years later after we moved out. So this happened a couple of years ago. My husband suggested a day out in this village where the old shop used to be. Let's get some lunch, have a wander around, which is what we did. We walked down the street and I saw the shop, and it had been turned into a charity shop. And just being stood outside, it made me really emotional. And I really wanted to go in, but wasn't sure how I was going to feel. But my husband said, come on, let's go. So we did. Well, it was very weird and emotional being back inside my childhood, as I was now estranged from my father and my mum had died just a few months earlier. One of the shop assistants noticed how emotional I was and asked if I was all right, and I explained to her the situation and held back tears as I said I'd just lost my mum. She looked really sorry for me and she could see how much this place had meant to me, and she said, would I like to go upstairs and have a look around at the old living space, my home? So I was really excited and couldn't wait to see my old bedroom. So we went upstairs and we came to the room which used to be my bedroom, which was now a huge room full of volunteers sorting through bags of donations for the charity shop. And I was introduced to them by the shop assistant, who said, oh, this girl used to live here when it was the old grocer's shop. Cue the collective ooh sound from the volunteers. They asked me loads of questions about the shop, and I could see a couple of women sort of muttering to each other, looking a bit, I don't know, like they really wanted to ask me something. Eventually, one of them blurted out, did I ever see the ghost? And I was quite surprised to hear this question, as I'm quite sceptical and thought that my family had made up stories to scare me over the years. So they were a little bit disappointed with my answer when I said, no, sorry, I'd heard about it, but I don't really know about it. They looked disappointed with my answer, but then went on to tell me how a few of them had seen a young teenage boy in a striped apron walking across the landing outside my old bedroom. My bedroom, which was next to the old storage room. Well, I was stunned to hear this because when my family ran the shop, we also wore striped aprons because that's what they used to wear in the 1800s. Okay. The woman then showed me an old newspaper clipping that she had found after hours of research in the library, trying to find out who this ghost boy could be, and she'd framed it and put it up on the wall. The article was from 1852 and described how a young boy working in the shop had been crushed to death in a tragic accident whilst he was in the stockroom. Weird. Anyway, a few weeks later, I met up with my older brother, Christian, for lunch, and I told him that I'd been to visit the shop. He was thrilled to hear me talk about it and what it was like, until I got to the part where the woman asked me about the ghost. Christian's mouth dropped open and the colour drained from his face. I asked him if he knew what I was talking about, and he replied, "My blood's gone cold and the hairs on my arms are standing up." Just for clarity, my brother is more of a skeptic than I am. Like, he's extremely sensible, doesn't make stuff up to impress or frighten anyone. So I was desperate to know what he knew. He said that in the 90s, when I was maybe 5, a family friend was renovating the storage room for my parents, putting up some new shelves. He was just about finished with the work and turned off the light to leave the room. As he walked out of the room, a young boy wearing a striped apron walked past him and disappeared into the darkness. The family friend said out loud, "Sorry lad, didn't see you there. Do you want the light on?" But he didn't get a reply. The family friend went downstairs to tell my parents he was finished working and would be heading home. He said to them just before he left, "I didn't know your Christian was here." They were like, "What? He isn't." Yeah, he is. I've just seen him upstairs wearing one of your aprons." My parents looked at him and said, "Christian is away at university. He's not coming back for weeks." Now, this family friend, who was a very rational fireman, by the way, was adamant he'd seen a young lad walk past him into the storage room, but they all went upstairs and they all looked and looked and there was nobody there. Needless to say, both me and my brother were stunned to hear each other's stories, and it proved to both of us that maybe there is such a thing as ghosts.
That is an incredible story. Thank you so much. My God, I've always wanted to visit some older places I've lived. Not that any of them were haunted or interesting in any way. Wow. Oh my God, what a crazy story. How strange that you didn't experience that either. It's almost like he chose the time and the place and the person to appear in front of me because you were younger. That's kind of a thoughtful ghost, right? Thank you again for sending that to me. That was incredibly rad. Thank you so much. And thank you for sending in your audio story. I'm just going to match up my cut crease and I'll be right back. Okay, let's move on to our next story. This story is called Who Was She? Ooh, that sounds scary. Hi Robert, I love your videos. This story from when I was around 8 or 9. I haven't thought about it for years, but your videos brought this to mind. It's not really a paranormal story, but something that is very strange and a little disturbing to me now that I am an adult. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in New Jersey. The kids in our neighborhood all went to school at the back of our neighborhood. We all walked there. We were all close friends and we all played outside together after school and on the weekends. One day, there was this girl who was our age, but we had never seen before. She rode her bike back to the playground at the elementary school. We all thought, cool, a new kid. But something was off about her. When we would ask her which street she lived or where her house was, she would always say, "Oh, my parents don't want people over, I can't tell you." Being a little kid, we didn't think much of it. This went on for almost a month. Every day at the same time, she would ride her pink bike to the playground and play. We started to notice that she was never in school with us, and nobody knew where she lived or even what her name was. One day, a boy from our neighborhood said we should follow her when she leaves. Some of us were too scared, so the braver ones did. She went to a house at the edge of our neighborhood. Weirdly, nobody had lived there in 3 years. But whatever, she was new. 2 days after she was followed, she came to the playground like normal, but she was very upset. She said, "I told you my parents didn't want people at our house. Now we have to leave." And she rode her bike away. That was the last time we had heard of her. When I told my mum that my friend who had just moved to the house on the edge of our neighbourhood had to move because we found out where she lived, my mum and some of the other neighbourhood parents got concerned and called the local police. But in the 2 hours since she left the park and we all went home for dinner, the whole house had been abandoned. In fact, they were questioning us kids because there was no sign that anyone had been there. Fast forward a few months, and I'm the only one of us who seems to remember her. Even my mum says she wasn't sure she knew who I was talking about. Now, as an adult, I wonder, was she made up in my kid mind? No, because why would they call the cops then? Was she kidnapped? Was she a ghost girl? Who was this girl with the dirty blonde, crazy wild hair? Where did she go? And why does nobody else seem to remember her? Ooh, I don't like ghost children. Ghost children can fuck off. You know what? If I was younger, right? If I was a child and you're maybe like a little bit more like open to, you know, someone coming up to you and be like, "Listen, I'm a ghost, but can I play with you?" I'd just rather they tell me they were a ghost. You know, if they were like, you know, "Don't tell anyone," I'd be like, "Yeah, no, fair enough." Because, you know, I don't know, the government, I don't know. Like, you know, like Casper, like who didn't want Casper as a friend when they were younger? Okay, let me finish up a little bit more and then we have some TikToks to watch. Okay, I just thought I'd finish up the whole look and get on with it. Let's watch some TikToks. You can at me on TikTok at Robert Welsh MUA. Okay, let's look at the first one. These really terrify me.
What from the depths of hell is that?
She makes like a creepy smile. Oh. Oh.
I don't know what to say. What the fuck?
What from the depths of hell
No,
is
I can't watch that again. Oh my god, what? I don't know what to say about that. I have no word. Literally, I have no words. That is terrifying. Imagine though looking at yourself in the mirror and you just look completely different like that. That would probably damage me for a while. God, the inner corner really isn't sticking down. I don't know why. I'm just going to take them off in a minute anyway. Okay. Let's look at another one. I'm too scared. No. I can't even look at that. I can't even look at... Oh my god. Oh no, I'm really scared. Oh my god, I want to turn my lights on. Oh my god, I'm really scared. Quick look around. Make sure there's no like wet facing around me. Oh, look at my ears. I've got all red because I'm... Oh my god. Oh my god, that was horrific. What the fuck was that? I'm sorry if you're watching with your kids. Sorry, don't use words like that, even if you're scared. Oh my god. Okay, well, thank you. This is our finished I don't know, I forgot what it was altogether. Oh well, this is it. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again in not next week, but the week after. Like I said, you can go ahead and send your ghost stories right here to this email address, at me on TikTok, do whatever it is you need to do, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.